Having a child is one of life's greatest blessings, but having a child with the wrong woman before you have your money right is a kill shot to your once promising life. When you do something is just as important as what you do. One of the hardest things to deal with in life is the fact that good things take a long time to happen. And during this waiting period, you have to make the right choices over and over again, or you end up screwing something up and having to start back at square one. If you want to get a promotion, you can't just be good at your job for one day. You have to be good at your job over and over again for months, if not years. You have to spend your free time honing your skills, networking, and becoming a better leader. You do all of this, but imagine one day you mess up. You offend the most important customer at your company. You say something that your boss doesn't like, or you just make an honest blunder at your job. All that hard work could be wiped out in an instant. And if that's not enough, on the way to achieving your goals, you're also gonna have to face self-doubt, a lack of discipline, judgment from other people, and perhaps the worst of all, instant gratification. The longer you keep working at a goal without seeing results, the stronger the pull of instant gratification is going to become. And in this context, I'm not talking about instant gratification like you had a candy bar when you shouldn't have. I'm talking about the desire to completely change course on your life plans or to skip ahead to a phase of life that you're not ready for yet. Let's say you were working for that promotion so that you and your wife could afford to have a kid, but you get impatient. You decide to let instant gratification take over and you have the kid before you can afford to. Now you're taking on credit card debt to keep up with the lifestyle you had while also paying for a kid. Now you also resent your job because it's not paying you enough money, and that resentment is showing up in your performance at work, which means that you're no longer on track for that promotion. Your once promising career turns into a dead-end job. Financial stress starts tearing apart your marriage, and you barely even get to see your kid because you're working so much. You canceled your gym pass to cut expenses, and now your health's falling apart. And 5 years later, your life is so far off course that you can't even recognize it. You were supposed to be on track to be a VP at your company soon. You were going to be the single breadwinner for your house and have a loving wife and a young family. But now you're stuck in a rut. You're falling further behind on debt. Your wife resents you. Your health is falling apart and your kid doesn't even respect you. This is the long-term effect of instant gratification. It causes you to throw off your timing in life in a way that can be fatal. Doing the right things in the wrong order will ruin your life just as much as doing the wrong things would have. In this video, we're going to talk about timing and how you can set your life up to achieve all of the things you want in life. The thing is, we guys, we all pretty much want the same things, you know. We want to be financially stress-free. We want to have our health. We want a wife that loves us. We want kids that respect us. We want to have purpose in our lives. We want to be happy. And when you look at it like this, it really doesn't seem that difficult. You just have to get a few things right in your life and you have a good life. In fact, an amazing life. But the reason most men don't achieve this is largely to do with poor timing. And I mean, obviously there's other factors, you know, if your discipline is awful, then all the timing in the world's not going to help you because you're just not going to do the right things. But assuming you have halfway decent discipline, these things we just mentioned, they're all pretty doable things as long as the timing's correct. A rocket uses 90% of its fuel leaving Earth's orbit. The hardest part of anything is having enough discipline and willpower to get it off the ground. When you start earning money, it's slow. You put a lot of effort in, but you don't have much to show for it. You're at the beginning of your career, so you're not getting paid that great. You don't have much of anything saved or invested, so it doesn't feel like that's having any impact. When you start working out, it's tough. You go into the gym, you're sore, you don't know what you're doing, you're not seeing any results, you feel kind of embarrassed. But in both cases, the beginning of the journey is the hardest part and requires the most discipline and effort. But eventually, the effort-reward curve starts going in your favor. Things become easier and easier. You have to put less effort in and you get more out. If you have $1,000 invested at a 6% annual return, you'll make $60 on your money. But if you have $100,000 invested at that same rate, you'll make $6,000 on your money. And if you have $1 million invested at that rate, you'll make $60,000 on your money. Meaning you can earn a modest full-time income simply off the return on the money you've invested. Over time, your career is going to become a lot more natural to you and you're going to become a lot lot more confident. This will make your job feel easier at the same time that your pay is increasing. And once you get in good shape, you don't have to work nearly as hard to maintain it. I can take a lot more days off my diet and not have it affect me as somebody who's trying to get in shape. You get to the point where the same workouts that were painful and you didn't know how to do them and it didn't seem like they were getting you any results, those same workouts are the ones you do to maintain the physique you have that everybody else wishes they had. I would really consider this a universal law, this fact that at the very beginning of doing anything, you have to put massive effort into getting it off the ground, but once you get over that threshold and momentum starts working in your favor, you form the correct habits, things just start going in your way, it becomes so much easier and you don't have to put nearly as much effort into getting results. And the key to timing your life correctly is to not interfere with this universal law. You have to allow time to focus on the right things until they get far enough off the ground that they can maintain themselves while you add on new responsibilities. Let's talk about an average life path for a typical guy and how he would interfere with this process. And then let's talk about how you could use timing correctly to get a completely different result. One of the most common life paths for a guy to go on is you leave high school, you go to college, you graduate college. So let's say you're a guy who just graduated college, you got some business degree, and you've got a little bit of debt. You have a long-term girlfriend that you met in college, and now that you've both graduated, you move in together and start paying rent at $2,000 a month. She's making $35K a year as a waiter, you're making $40,000 a year at your entry-level job. Next up, you buy a new car, which adds $500 a month to your bills. About a year after graduating college, your girl is really pressing you for the ring. So you propose, y'all get married, and now you put another $40,000 down on the wedding. Up next, you guys want to have a kid. So you go ahead and have a kid, and your wife has to leave her job to take care of the baby for a while, which means you don't have her income coming in. Once she goes back to work, you need to start paying $1,500 a month for daycare. You also need a bigger place to live now, but because you've been spending your money on things like cars and weddings, you don't have the money for a down payment, so you have to keep renting. So now you're paying $2,500 a month rent for a little house. Maybe by this point you've gotten a raise and you're making an additional $6,000 a year, and your wife, maybe she's making, I don't know, $40,000 a year at this point. So your income's gone up a little bit, but your expenses have gone through the roof. When you aren't working, do you think you have time to take care of your health? Not with a kid that needs taking care of, dishes that need to be cleaned, a house that needs to be taken care of, a lawn that needs to be cut, groceries that need to be bought, and all the other mundane tasks of life. You can't really afford quality food, so combining the fact that you're eating low quality food with the fact that you're not exercising means you don't feel very healthy. So you're not feeling good, you're tired, your testosterone level's dropping, and you're not sleeping good because of your bad diet and the stress of your financial situation. You don't have the energy to go to any networking events, do any continuing education for your career, or even read a personal development book, so you've kind of stagnated. You just spend your free time alternating between various streaming services, which, by the way, you're spending money on those too. You and your wife aren't attracted to each other anymore, your kid's getting raised by a daycare and he spends all his time staring at an iPad, and you feel an ever-increasing weight on your chest from the financial pressure you're under and the feeling of being trapped in a life you don't want to live. And now to start piling on, your car breaks down and you need to go get another car, but you can't afford a nice car at this point, you got so many bills, so you're paying $300 a month for some used car that you don't feel proud to be driving, but it's still another bill you're tacking on. You can see this picture in your head, I'm sure, and if you think I'm exaggerating, just start paying attention when you walk around. You'll see so many stressed out, tired couples with a kid who's not listening to them, and you can see that so many people have gone down this life path. Now let's play the story out slightly different with better timing. Same guy graduates college, has a business degree and a little bit of debt. Him and his girlfriend move in together, but this time they get a cheaper place to stay. It's not a dump by any means, but it's just not one of these luxury apartment complexes, so they're paying $1,500 a month instead of $2,000. And this time you tell your girlfriend you want to wait on getting a new car until you get your finances in order. So instead of paying for a car, you invest in yourself in the form of books, seminars, courses, networking groups. You work really hard on your career and your overall personal development. You put your energy into your career, your health, and you take your girl out on reasonable dates once a week, or maybe you just spend time around the house. You focus on paying off your student debt, and because you don't have a car payment to pay and you have a pretty cheap cheap apartment, it's actually fairly easy to get done. You're working harder and improving faster than everyone else you're working with, and so you end up getting a raise that took you a couple years to get in the previous example, but you get it in less than a year. You get married, but instead of paying for a big wedding, which, let's be honest, in the modern world, a wedding is basically an excuse for your friends and family to get drunk and party on your dime. Instead of doing that, you just go to the courthouse and get married that way. Instead of spending $40,000 on a wedding, you spend $3,000 on the ring, everybody's happy, and you save a ton of money. And by the way, I have a friend who's doing this exact same thing. His fiance actually came to him and said, look, I appreciate that you're willing to pay for this wedding, but I'd rather us not put ourselves in a bad financial situation. I'd rather us just take this money and buy a house. So the point of that is, if you're out there and you're thinking, gee, this girl I'm with, she's really pressuring me to spend a ton of money on a wedding, I'll be honest with you, if you're dealing with a quality woman who cares about you and hers future, she's not going to be interested in putting you in an awful financial situation just for a wedding. Now back to our story. So at this point, you tell your wife, listen, I want to wait a few years before we have kids because I want to make sure that our finances are in a good spot so that we can afford to take care of this kid and still have a good life. And because your wife sees that you're working hard and you have a plan, she goes along with this. This whole time you've been working on your career, gaining new skills and intangibles, and focusing on networking. You connect with somebody who gives you a new opportunity in a different position, and now you're earning $70,000 a year and working for somebody that you have a great relationship with. Your wife doesn't have a child on the way, and so she can focus her attention on her career as well, and now she's gone from being a waiter to having a better job, and maybe she's earning, let's say, $45K a year at this point. You've both started investing and maxing out retirement accounts. You've got your student loans paid off at this point, and you can easily afford to get a couple of new cars, each costing $400 a month. And because you haven't been spending money on all these other things, you've been saving money for a down payment, and now a few months later, you can afford to buy a house. After bonuses and raises, your household income is over $120,000 a year. Now you decide to have your first kid, and because your wife was able to get a better job with better benefits, she gets paid maternity leave, so there's no loss of income. You can afford the kid without stressing, and you can also afford to pay someone else to take care of things like housekeeping and lawn care and getting your groceries for you, or a meal prep company, which means your time isn't getting bogged down with mundane tasks, so you can still continue to focus on career growth and also have time to spend with your kid and your wife. Now you're in your late 20s and you get another big pay bump and you're making $90,000 a year. Your wife could probably afford to move to a stay-at-home role at this point if you wanted to, or if she's enjoying her career, she could continue to work on it as well. You aren't stressed and your time is spent developing yourself, achieving your goals, and spending it with people that you care about. And your marriage isn't torn apart by financial strain. This is a night and day difference based simply off of better timing. This is not an ambitious thing to try and achieve either. I mean, this is a pretty basic career path. And you can apply this to different situations. If you're the guy who graduates college but you're single, just move back in with your parents for a couple years until you start making good money. If you want to be the single income earner in your household, well, then you just need to be somebody who earns better money. So you probably need to be in sales or be somebody who's an entrepreneur, a business owner. But the formula still remains the same. The first guy never let his financial life get off the ground before he bogged himself down in other things. The second guy put all the effort in up front and didn't give in to instant gratification, so his timing was good, and that meant that his financial life was able to be in a strong position and was able to take care of him while he added on additional responsibilities. And like I said, this is really not an ambitious plan. This is simply the plan of somebody who used good timing and delayed gratification. Now, one of the keys to having good timing in your life is you need to clearly understand what you want your life to look like. Then you can clearly map out a plan to achieve your goals, and you can order things correctly so you do the first things first and then move on to the next things. For me, as an example, I'm a very entrepreneurial guy. I don't want to work a 9-to-5 W-2 position, nothing against it, just not my personality type. My passion is business. I want to be able to create businesses, be a serial entrepreneur kind of person. And so one thing I have to make sure I do with my timing is I have to, one, make sure that I'm earning a bunch of money up front, but then I also need to make sure that I have enough money so that if anything goes wrong in my career plans, it doesn't ruin me and my family. And I also have enough money that I can put it into other ideas that I want to try out for businesses. And that means I have to get my career sorted before I can do anything else. And that's the phase I'm in right now. I'm basically 100% focused on my career in real estate. I put out this content on YouTube, which is part of my long-term vision, and I kind of have that set up in the timing factors as well, because YouTube right now and my personal brand is kind of like a secondary priority to me, and that's where it fits in my timing currently. But things like having a nice place to live, having a luxury car, spending my money on clothes, going out on a ton of dates, having an incredible social life, those are things that are not in the timing right now, and so they're not things I'm doing. I keep my expenses really low. I moved back in with my parents to cut that cost down. I'm all in on timing my life right because I know if I do that, the future is gonna have all the things I want. Now I wanna cover a couple key takeaways from the timing examples. First, I wanna talk about why most people don't take the path of the second man. You see, what I'm saying in this video is really common sense. I'm sure most of you out there watching right now are like, yeah, I understand what you're talking about with timing. I understand I need to do this thing before I do this thing. Most people get that on a logical level, yet most people don't actually do it. You probably know what you should be working on in this phase of your life, yet chances are you're not doing it. You're distracted. You're trying to do things out of order, skip ahead. You want to be going on dates when you can't even afford a place to live. Or you want that new car, but you don't have any savings or investments. You know what you should be doing, but you're probably feeling a strong urge to do something else. That urge is the call of instant gratification. It's impatience, and it's a trap that will get you stuck in a life you don't want to live. Instant gratification likes to bring up these fantasies that convince you that if I just get this one thing, I'll be happy. Your fantasies lead you to focus on one thing, but hidden behind that one thing that you just really want to have right now are all the other things that you need to have for that fantasy to truly be something you want. You imagine your fantasies as if everything else in your life is perfect. When you think about having your dream girl, your fantasy also includes you being financially secure, confident, healthy, and worthy of her respect. But all you think is, if I can just get a girlfriend, I'll be happy. Don't be fooled. I often find myself fantasizing about things that I just want to buy right now. And I'm like, if I could just buy these clothes right now, I'd look so cool. Or if I had this luxury car, it would change everything. But I have to remind myself that these images I'm seeing in my fantasies, they're not what I really want. What I really want is the life that comes with that. I don't want to be wearing nice clothes and paying $1,200 a month for my luxury car, but stressing about how I'm going to pay all my bills. I want those things while being rich, while having a career I enjoy, while having a girl who loves me and friends that I get to spend my time with. Even with money, you don't just want to be rich when you're imagining yourself with all that money. You also see yourself probably with the pretty girl in the shotgun seat of the car, or you at least imagine yourself feeling good while you have the money. So implicit in you having the money is also the idea that you would be healthy while having the money. You also don't want to be rich and alone. You want to have friends and family around you while you have this money. Some men fall for the fantasy of thinking that if they just get the money, they'll be happy, and that's all that matters, and so they throw everything else to the wind. You know these guys who are super career obsessed, and look, I'm very focused on career, but I understand that there's also other things you need to care about in your life. I'm talking about the kinds of people who they'll go to Wall Street and they'll work 100 hours a week, they'll destroy their health, they'll get divorced, they'll put themselves in horrible life circumstances just so they can make a little bit of money. Those guys are falling for a fantasy the same way the guy who goes out and splurges on a car he can't afford is falling for a fantasy. Timing is not only just about doing things in the right order, it's about allocating the right amount of attention to the right things at the right time. So for example, when it comes to your money, that's obviously extremely important, but at the same time, you don't want to sabotage your health and quality relationships. The next point I want to make is that failing to continue moving forward in life leads to stagnancy and eventually decline. And one of the biggest reasons that stagnancy starts to happen is you get caught up in doing things that are mundane with all of your time, and so you can't keep moving forward. So one of the biggest objectives of timing your life is to set yourself up so that you can avoid having to spend your time doing all the mundane parts of life. If you don't have the money to outsource mundane tasks, your life will become one big mundane task. Getting groceries, cooking, cleaning, lawn care, getting your house pressure washed, taking care of repairs for your your house and your car, doing your taxes, and all these other things, they take all of your time up on basically staying on the treadmill of keeping your life stable. But in doing so, they take all your time away from focusing on things that will help you move forward in life, which means that they end up being the thing that keeps you stuck. It's a difficult mindset shift for a lot of people to understand, but the more that you can outsource these things to somebody else, the better off your life is going to be. If you intend to earn a lot of money, it's actually a great investment for you to pay somebody else to do these things for you. In my life, for example, I was big on cutting costs. I'm still pretty big on cutting costs, but one thing I decided to stop trying to cut costs on all the time was food. I used to go to the grocery store basically every day and figure out what I was going to eat, and I was trying to cook it all and eat healthy and save money and all this kind of stuff, and it was taking all of my time and mental energy. So I decided to start spending money on one of these meal plan companies. Now at this point, 90% of what I eat is already taken care of for me. I don't have to drive home and then realize I don't have anything to eat and then spend the next hour figuring out what I'm going to eat, going to the grocery store to get it, coming home, cooking it, cleaning it, doing all that crap. It's all taken care of for me. Along with this, my diet's a lot more consistent. I'm doing better as far as hitting my physique goals. But the biggest factor of all is I'm saving probably 12 hours a week that I used to spend on figuring out food and cooking it and cleaning it. That adds up to over 500 hours a year that I'm saving. And I might be spending $250 a month extra on food, but all I have to do is take that 500 hours I just got back, and if I can get just one extra real estate transaction closed during the year, I've more than made up for the money I spent on the meal prep. Even if you're a W-2 employee, you can take the same mindset. If you can get 500 hours of your year back and then take that to going to networking events, reading personal development, improving your skills, I guarantee you'll get paid enough to offset the extra expense. And this isn't even to mention the fact that you don't have to deal with the headache, and because you're not spending your time on this, you can spend it with your family or your friends or going on dates or doing other things that provide more meaning to your life than constantly worrying about these mundane things. Automate the mundane, don't give in to these delusional instant gratification fantasies, and time your life right. Do this and you're setting yourself up for an incredible life. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you want to learn about 7 habits that have been completely changing my life, you can click on this video right here.